She really does act and behave like she owns the place. One of the questions I used to ask a lot was, how do you go about practicing soprano and tenor? You know, do you treat them as the same instrument? Because when you're on a gig, you quite often, I mean, I like playing soprano, as I've said in this video, pointing with the soprano rather than with my hands, because it just offers a different tonal inflection. And of course you've got that great lineage of tenor sax players who double on soprano: Coltrane, Wayne Shorter, Bramford. Well, Bramford plays both, obviously. Joshua Redman does, Potter does. And I think kind of the main reason why we like playing it is it gives you, you know, a different sound. Although there's a lot of arguments that basically Coltrane soprano was like an extension of his tenor. Certainly you don't want to practice it like this. Because let's face it, Rass and Roland Kirk always did it better. Not quite. Anyway, today I do really need to get some tenor practice done, because this weekend I'm going back to a project I did a while ago. I did a few gigs in 2014 on this 3 tenors. There's a playlist below and also on the YouTube channel of kind of the stuff we're going to be playing on Friday evening at Saffron Hall, which is of course my birthday, in case you'd forgotten, and focusing on Rollins, Coltrane and Stan Getz. And what I need to do in my practice today is just get to grips with some of the sort of stuff. I love Stan Getz, but if I'm honest, I'm more familiar. I do know my way around Stan Getz, but I'm much more familiar with Coltrane and Rollins, so I would play a lot more Coltrane and Rollins. So I'm looking at I'm obviously going to play some of the classic Stan Getz, Desfinado, Ipanema, but there's also some great Stan Getz recordings, playing some other stuff. I mean, there was a fantastic album of him playing with Oscar Peterson Trio and Pennies from Heaven, so I'm going to probably have a little blow over that, see if I can transcribe a little bit of it, just get it under my fingers, because I've never actually played that track on a gig before, so I need to make sure I practice it. And then I've got someone coming around for a meeting, and it's a gorgeous day outside as well today. And then later on this afternoon I'll come back and play my soprano, and I treat them as 2 separate instruments for my practice, because I'm trying to get 2 different sound concepts. I still want to sound like myself, but with the tenor I have a different kind of voice, as it were. It's a different way of expressing myself versus playing the soprano. So I do find it much easier to think in B flat. And I remember going right the way back to even A level. When we were doing oral tests at A level, I would consistently write down the pitches a tone high, because I just thought in B flat. You know, so if the actual pitch being played was a concert C, I would write it out as a D, just instinctively, because that's where I was hearing it. And I had to learn to basically write it down on one sheet of paper and then transpose it down. It's just me. I mean, I've since learned to be able to get better at it and do it in terms of relative pitch. Anyway, I am waffling on and I need to get some practice done. Heading to pick the kids up from school. Had some really productive meetings this afternoon on various things, some music, some not music, and whoa, it was really hot and sunny a few hours ago, and now it's all clouded over, which is really disappointing because I thought spring had finally arrived. It is really warm though, And you can see, well, really warm for England anyway, 23 degrees. But it's gone really muggy now, so I don't know what's going to happen. Kids probably aren't going to be happy with me for making them walk home. But it's just nice to get out. With soprano, I do tend to practice a little more, should we say, classically, and I don't just mean that just in terms of classical music, although I do use a lot of classical music when I'm playing soprano in terms of practice, but also just a little bit more kind of, you know, the Russia book or method books. I don't know why, it just always sat better for me with soprano, and I kind of probably practice soprano 10% versus the tenor, and on gigs it tends to be 70-30 tenor. So doing that kind of gap on soprano is probably sensible, but sometimes not sensible, you get what I mean. There are periods, and have been periods, where I've been playing more soprano, even to the extent of playing soprano exclusively, and obviously at that point I am putting more time in on the soprano to try and make sure that I'm up to speed with it. But I do try and practice it and treat it like a separate instrument. That's kind of what we're getting at. I have the most annoying octave key on this soprano, and no matter what I've tried, I've had the pad changed, I've changed the spring, I've re-oiled it, whatever, it just sticks, and it's so frustrating because it just, anything above G he said, Dan, do you know Chris Potter? I hope this answers the question. It's Chris, me, Joshua Roman, Mark Turner. Fantastic gig. Anyway, that's about all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for watching my vlog. Remember, I've said if you are my 3,000th subscriber, I mean, it's a bit of a mouthful, then you'll have 2 free signed CDs on its way to you. We're very, very close. We will probably reach it after this vlog. I hope we will anyway. If you've got any questions or comments, please do stick them in the comments box or drop me an email. I try and do a Q&A at least once a week, although it's been once a fortnight recently. Things have been really, really busy. I hope you've enjoyed the vlog. Please do hit the subscription button, and I will see you very, very soon.